Welcome in, everybody. We are live here after not so fun, and I can tell Chad's in his doom and gloom stage right now. He just not the best of times to come on here and do a post game, but we do it anyways. If you're watching, wherever you're watching, jump over to the YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and of course, becoming a member helps us. You can become a member for as low as $2.99 a month. Just by scanning that QR code over on the bottom of the screen or clicking the link down in the description below. It just helps us keep on doing the things we do here. We come to you on Sundays, Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and post-game Saturday. And here we are after a kind of a gut check kind of game, a gut-wrenching game for Oklahoma, losing 34-26 to Ole Miss at home. It seems like it was one that really both teams kind of desperately wanted. I think Oklahoma desperately needed this game for many reasons. You look at the rest of the schedule, and that kind of tells the story there for you. But it wasn't just for playoff positioning. It was also just to come out and show that you can hang in there with the elites here of the SEC. And despite that ferocious third quarter rally and coming back to take the lead there, 26-25, Oklahoma kind of looked like Ole Miss against Georgia and crumbled in the fourth quarter. But Chad, Tierney, I'll kick it over to you guys. What are you guys' quick initial thoughts there from this game?
It's not fun, obviously. Man, I mean, Jonathan's already asking when the FBI is going to raid our offensive staff. It just sucks, man. Like, I hate losing games in which it's clear that if you just don't beat yourself, you'll win. Like my friend and I were talking about it just a minute ago, and it's like I can handle losing games in which you're running the ball with X and they end up stopping it or finding a way. Then you make an adjustment and they end up stopping that, and you just can't continue to develop. Eventually, okay, like you're going to play really good teams that can do that. But it's like we find what works all the time, and then we just continuously don't do it. Like X is running the ball for like 5.5 a carry. And I know it's 12.1, but if you take out he's not going to go for 65 every time he touches it. Because even if he did, it's not like we would give it to him every time. So he's like, it's like 5.5 a carry, and we just refuse to just hammer the ball with them until they can stop it. We just do it ourselves. Like I thought the dumbest thing of the game would be Lane Kiffin taking out Chambliss on like the 10-yard line and throwing it with, was it Simmons?
Twice.
I always get Simmons and the other guy mixed up, and throwing it with him until I saw us not run with Xavier Robinson anymore. And their defensive line's gassed, and we just quit doing it. And I know people are getting mad at the defense. The defense played great. If the defense doesn't play like and people are going to pick out plays here and there, that happens when you're on the field like for 100 and what? Over 100 snaps or 90 something? I'm trying to find.
It was 87, I think, something like that. I had that up earlier.
Rushing attempts, they had penalties, pass yards, total yards. I'm trying to find the total snaps.
Total plays.
Comparison. Oh, yeah, what was that?
Yeah, there were total snaps, and then I just totally lost how many total plays they ended up having. But I mean,
fourth downs.
Yeah, it was over 80. I'm pretty sure. 87 plays.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, people like when we were playing well against Michigan, they had like 55 offensive plays. The reason why we couldn't, and the reason why it was so bad this game is because our offense can't sustain a drive. To save their soul, they can't sustain a drive.
Yeah, and to go to that point too, Oklahoma ran 60 plays on offense. The time of possession was 35 minutes and 36 seconds for Ole Miss, and only 24 minutes or 24 minutes 24 seconds for Oklahoma. So they owned the ball for like, I mean, 3/4 of an entire quarter more than Oklahoma. It was just, I thought, a pitiful performance by the Oklahoma offense when they needed it the most, and there was big time crucial moments when they really could have used it. I mean, Tyranny, I'll let you go real quick. What are some of your real quick
No,
thoughts
that
here?
was my biggest thought is that even though you did not play well, this game was winnable. There were several chances you got that were gifted to you to turn the tide of the game. And I mean, yes, we ended up scoring and taking the lead, but there were times before that we get the ball on the 15-yard line. You're gifted a turnover, essentially, turnover on downs, anyways, and we go backwards. You don't score a touchdown. You get 3 out of it. That changes the game. Your defense, for whatever reason, we can tip a ball and we can never intercept it. Every other team can do that against us. Every team, if they tip our pass, it's going to be intercepted. Apparently, our defense can't do that. And yes, they played well enough for us to win, but it's just, why can't we have a playmaker? Like, why don't we make those types of plays? It just and that would have given us the ball on like the 10-yard line. And then you punt it. Satanga tries to hurdle a guy for whatever reason at midfield, and you fumble it. Like, the one thing you cannot do there is turn it over, and you decide that's when you want to try to hurdle someone. And from there, you're like, yeah, that was our chance. Another chance just goes away.
I didn't think the hurdle was so bad because he did kind of get around a guy that was kind of diving for his legs, but it was just, yeah, I mean, yeah, you have to hold onto the ball there. That was crucial. That was definitely crucial.
Well, I think what's frustrating too is it's just like it comes right after Danny Okoye just forgets he can use his hands to catch a ball, and it's just that. And I'm sick. Like, it's frustrating because you need those plays to win games like this, and for whatever reason, it's like we really don't have a meaningful turnover this year. If you think about it, you have 2 against Kent State; those mean nothing.
We had the scoop and score, but was that Kent State?
That was
That was Kent State.
So it doesn't even matter. Yeah.
And you have a interception on a punt against South Carolina.
Which in theory you actually lose yards.
Yeah, which we actually hurt ourselves because it was on 4th down.
I think the only one
you have a late interception with Jacoby Johnson that really doesn't mean much to the game. And I mean, it's like,
I think the safeties were the only, like, if you want to consider them turnovers, those were the only meaningful ones. I will say that, but I just felt like the defense, you said they played great. I think the defense just was leaving wide open gaps a lot, and there wasn't a whole lot that I think I really blamed totally on the defense as much, other than I think you look at what and they called this out on the broadcast a lot too. What Lane Kiffin was doing really good at was recognizing that Brent Venables knows how to adjust to your offense. So they were waiting until that 15-second mark on the play clock to then line up to the ball. They were doing that consistently, and when they weren't doing that, Oklahoma's defense was dominating. Because when they weren't doing that, or when they were doing that, Brent Venables doesn't have time to call in through the headset out to his linebacker and say, hey, change this up, look for this, and communicate that with them. So that was really smart by Lane Kiffin. But ultimately, it was just a lot of the pre-snap motions throwing this defense off really bad. I mean, it was horrible how bad they were at trying to line up on those pre-snap motions and pre-snap movement, because they had no clue where to be on defense. And then
sorry.
No, I mean, we'll get into the penalties and stuff too. But that was the other thing too. I think penalties hurt Oklahoma when they were called on Oklahoma. I did think that there was the holding call on Foje, I believe it was, early in the game, either Foje or Fasusi, one of the freshmen. That was kind of a weak holding call. He had his arm across his chest, but it wasn't holding on to anything, where it was just like impossible to call anything over on the other side. And in crucial moments, I feel like every time that there was that blatant holding for Ole Miss that wasn't called is whenever they end up having a big play and end up going down and doing something with it later on, where it really could have helped Oklahoma to have those calls. And then the roughing the passer one too. I have zero idea. And even the commentators were saying that was a bad call. But then towards the end of the game, what really ticked me off was listening to the commentators say this was a really good officiated game. I don't know what you were watching, because I thought it was horrible all the way around.
I'm away from this country. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life.
The crucial 4th down, it's clearly a block in the back right in front of the play. not called.
Yeah.
And then they missed the holding on Mason Thomas, not called. And then I forgot what happened. And then they had a delay of game. It was 3 seconds that the clock was 0, and they gift Ole Miss a timeout, which apparently people that were watching the game was like, he wasn't even calling timeout, is what's crazy.
I didn't see it.
Here's the thing is with our defense though, a lot of good defense is dictated by your offense. We remember that we ran into this even last year. We had one of the best defenses last year. It's just they have to play 95 plays a game. You're going to get gashed. And what's even worse is that defenses really struggle when you give them short fields. Like I'm looking at the second quarter. Ole Miss starts their first. So with 10 minutes left in the second quarter, this is where their drive started. They started on their 48, so almost at the 50. Their next drive, they get at the Oklahoma 49, so they're already in plus territory. Their next drive, they get at they score on that one. So the last two drives, they're already at the 50-yard line by average. You can't give teams like Ole Miss with the talent they have, and especially the runner at quarterback, 50-yard fields back to back. You're going to kill yourself. And especially whenever they're – now, I will say with the subbing, what made me angry is if you're going to have a quick whistle or a quick off, if the ref's going to get off the ball fast whenever you're subbing players in, that has to be made aware at the beginning of the game. You can't just call that randomly after you know teams strategize when to sub in and out to hurt them on the play clock. It's a gamesmanship thing that every team does. Well, they tell BV without any sort of forewarning that he's took too long to get his player in. And then you see Ole Miss at the end of the game walking off the field with 51 and whatever the other guy's name is. Well, and there's no call. And it just
there were several times throughout the game where they're holding it and Ole Miss is just lollygagging off. I'm like, are you kidding?
On that too, Oklahoma's player was running on the field already.
Yeah,
and he was already on the field before the referee stepped back. That's what really frustrated me there. I thought that was horrible. If there was ever a moment for the officiating to come out and make an apology, there's one right there, and I think the roughing
pass was kind of weak. That's not even take kind of out of there. Yeah. That's inexcusable. Like, and this is where I say, like, I hate when people say don't blame the refs. Like, I'll blame them if their call literally changes the game. I don't think the refs. It should have been our ball and no points. Instead, you hold. I don't think they scored. They ended up getting a field goal there, but
they got it.
I don't think I walk away from this game thinking that the refs are the reason why Oklahoma lost. But I do think that the missed calls and some of the calls that they made that were wrong, it affected those drives and huge moments. And it was always in a crucial moment too. I was teasing with you guys like there was that block in the back that was completely missed, and even the commentators were sitting there praising the block there. And I'm like, how do you not see that? And then there was another holding on the inside too. That was
in the booth. Missed. What moron is saying that's a good block? People get in positions where they can have influence on.
I usually tune myself out of the commentating, but I had it up anyways, and I kind of wish I didn't today because it was just atrocious. I don't like what's his name, Greg McElroy, and I can't remember the other guy's name. I don't like them as commentators. They proved why I don't like them today. Just really annoying. But I also see, so I guess going back, I don't want to jump ahead of myself too much, but. The safety. I think the safety changed everything. Corey Blaylock was, kind of dead in rights there. I don't want to blame him, but you do have to get out of the end zone before trying to go east and west. And I think that was really crucial there. Ole Miss, they end up getting across the midfield. Then after that, turning it into a field goal. So that right there gives them 5 points. That you just can't let up. And I felt like that was the biggest momentum changer in the game right there at that moment.
And what's sad about, and I know a lot of people are going at coaching and all that. Listen, if you have an offensive issue, I don't want to hear BV come out. BV has nothing to do with offense. Now, you might think overall strategy, sure. Not you, literally. I'm just talking in general. But what is upsetting is that your first penalty is after a TV timeout. You just came out of break, and you have an illegal formation. How is that even possible? And then you have 3 straight penalties to get you down to the 2-yard line. And then you try to run outside when your guy in 12 with your tight end trying to come around and block their nose guard with Mikula, who can't block. And it's just like we continuously say, what do we suck at? And then let's run that for the majority of the game. And then let's find a running back that has 9 carries for 100 yards, 12 carries for 109 or something. And then let's just not run him much in the fourth quarter. And again, like I say every week, I tell my dad, I'm not they have forgotten more football in one day than I'll ever know. But I'd go back to when Auburn played us, and they had Cam Coleman, and it's they're consistently gashing us with deep throws, and then they just stop throwing to them. I don't care if you have a guy over the top. I'm either going to catch it, maybe you get a PI, or they might get a pass breakup, but I'm not going to just not do it anymore. And they just quit. And then we run with X-Rob. We're gashing them over and over again. Their defensive line's clearly gassed and getting tired. And we just stop doing it. Now we go run Mateer, and then we do a rollout pass where no one's there. And my gosh, I'll never get over this play for the rest of the time Ben Arbuckle's here. Fourth down, 4th and 2. And we decide to run 12 personnel again, which we're not good at because we don't have 2 tight ends that can block like that. I don't think we have one. We have Carson Kent and Kendall and Caden Helms out there. And we run into the boundary, and we take all of our best receivers out. Why are we doing that? Why? Like, that stuff is just inexcusably moronic.
Yeah, I'm not going to say their names, but who was out there? But we did not have.
It was Ivan Carry-On. It was another couple guys. I have
no.
They're paid a lot of money. They can get over it.
Yeah.
You want to not get called out, win games, and catch passes. I don't know. John, throw a pass. You have Jaren Kanak wide open. Be an athlete. Heisman favorite, my whatever.
Yeah,
like,
I will.
If John Mateer's even thinking about going to the NFL next year, he needs to have his brain checked, not only his thumb, because that is astronomically stupid.
Yeah, I will say. I mean, I don't agree with a lot of the comments. I've seen them all over social media and stuff all over about John Mateer sucks. He doesn't suck. He had a pretty solid game overall, but I don't know how you can expect a guy to perform well when he is constantly under duress. And you have 2 true freshmen on left and right tackle right now, and Foje obviously to me did not seem like he was really ready today. They attacked him,
third option,
and rightfully so.
I just don't know what everyone thought. There's a reason you have your starters. And here's the thing that we also have to have the conversation about is in the era of the portal, I don't know how much you need to be. I'm not on the BB, like firing beanball and all that. I don't know enough about who is out there and what you would get. But what is frustrating is you have 2 guys now that have taken up a scholarship for a year and a half and haven't played at all. Now, I know Jacob Sexton got hurt in game, and that sucks, but he's also – his first play as a Sooner in the bowl game against Florida State 2 years ago, he tears his ACL. Listen, I don't wish injury on anybody, but I don't want injured players that are injury-prone on my team.
Well,
I'm sorry. He's taking up a whole spot. So is Jake Taylor.
Right.
Get your
–
sorry.
If you can't go to work, you get fired.
I'm sorry. I don't want you to be sick.
It's not your fault, and that sucks, but –
it's not your fault, but I don't want you here. You can't
play. If you're sick all the time and you can't make it to work, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't know.
And it's like, and I was telling friend's wife on the way, I was like, we played in a different era of sports, so like, I hate ever saying, like take someone's scholarship for something out of their control, but now it's always been a business, but now it's even more so a business. I'm sorry if you cannot perform for the business, if you can't get out there and work for the business, you got to go.
Yeah.
You might be a great kid, great work ethic, great leader, but at the end of the day, like if you're not on the field, you're costing your team. And even though it's not your fault, but it's a pattern. It's not like this is the first time you've ever been injured, but it is a pattern.
What is Brad? Did you say there was 3 penalties on third down?
Yeah, we stopped them on third down 3 times.
We stopped them on third down 3 times, and they had 3 penalties that got them first.
Yeah,
insanity. Like you can't. Go ahead. My bad.
And it wasn't always like I mean. A lot of times it was penalties that just maybe shouldn't have been there. Like the R. Mason Thomas, I think that was on a third down when R. Mason Thomas lined up.
Yeah, it was. And he was offsides from what even Damon Teddy said. Like he's offside.
Yeah, he was, and that's the kind of stuff. And you didn't even need. He doesn't need to be offsides. He doesn't need the cheat. And
I don't know why is he continuously doing that? Like that's not the first time he's been called offsides, right?
And Chambliss slipped on that play too, and basically gave you that play. So
I think part of what's killing me online is everybody's saying to put Hawkins in. No offense to Hawkins. Everyone's like, I think he's good. Like he is not good enough. Like he's not the answer. He's not going to win us these games. Like I'm sorry. Like that's not the issue. Like has John played well? No, but Michael was supposed to have a red shirt last year. He wants to red shirt this year. He's not going to go in there and win us the games. No offense to him, but he's not the reason like we're losing.
Did you guys already pop this one up earlier?
Oh,
and
yeah,
so it's
sorry.
like the fact to me that like people are just calling for him just because you're mad at Mateer is reactionary. Let the kid keep his red shirt because we're not winning with that change either.
And I just don't think that the biggest he provides maybe another an explosive element, but like he's saying, he's wanting his red shirt. But your biggest issue right now isn't really even it's the fact quarterback play. It's the fact you're on your third tackle. And here's where like the BB stuff. I get on one hand just so annoyed at people that are like fire BV this year. Listen, guys, I'm sorry. Even if he has a bad year, it'd be astronomically stupid to fire him this year. You're not going to go and get in the. You got to look at when you're entering the market for a coach, and you don't want to be out trying to outbid Penn State and Florida. Okay, so we're not firing our head coach, and Oklahoma's not going to try to get a no name. So that's just not a reality that anyone's going to be living in this.
Well, here's my thing too.
Just real quick, I am also sick and tired of like people talking about the BV's offense. He's not. Well, everyone wanted BV just to focus on the defense. Do this. Don't worry about the offense. Get a guy you can trust. And he's like, all right, I'm going to hand it off. And now it's like BV can't do this, can't do that. And it's like, dude, his focus is game management. Which, goodness gracious, has there been a reason to criticize him there sometimes?
But today we had
and defense.
But you have three timeouts at the end of the game.
Yeah. And here's my biggest gripe on BV. I think at some point there is a point where you have to say, dude, you are for whatever reason entering every game with key players hurt. There is, and I mean this in every possible way. I hope Derek Simmons is fine, right? You don't want like concussions can have a lasting effect. But why are we getting concussed on a Tuesday in practice when you already are when you're down 3 offensive linemen already? I don't care if you got to go shirt and t-shirts and no helmet the whole week. You need to have them as healthy and feeling as good as they can on game day as possible. And it's why whenever I shared the Kirk Cincinnati thing, when he's like, my practices max are an hour and a half. People are like, you can't do that. Listen, I don't know how many people haven't played at like, whatever level. Yeah, ask my dad about it if you want. I don't care. There's not a ton of work like gain that's done within the week. When you have your camps, you do a lot of improvement, but really you're wanting to maintain and you add adjustments throughout the season that you can then implement in a game or whatever to change things. But you aren't sitting there talking technique and then vastly improving week in and week out. You get better over the season because you're playing more, but it's not like you're sitting there just cracking each other, or you shouldn't be, and getting vastly better. And it's why Cignetti goes, I believe if you're healthy on game day, you're going to be more confident. You're more confident, you play better. BV, we're just sitting there cracking everybody. And I get if you're both healthy and good, okay, at some point there's a little bit of that. But whenever you are like, dude, if Foj goes down, I honestly can't tell you who the guy coming in is.
We
don't have another
defense.
one. You're going to have to You're going to have to start getting Marcus Strong to run guard. I mean, you literally won't have an option. And we, for whatever reason, go into every season and every game just beat up on the offensive line. And it's where, like, that is a coaching thing at some point. Like, you cannot continue to get your guys beat up every single practice. And they're coming to the game limping and hurting. And it's like, people are like, why can't we block anybody? But Susi had a horrible game, did not play well, got beat around the edge multiple times. He's also playing with a bum ankle that no one talks about and he doesn't bring up. But he has a messed up ankle stemming from the Michigan game still. And he gets it tweaked again at practice. It's like, guys, we can't do this. At some point, I don't care if I don't see you all week. I'll see you in film. We'll do some walkthrough. I need you healthy on game day.
Be in the training room to get better.
And again, I only bring this up, and we're not insiders. We don't have any of that. I'll just say that we talked to parents of players that play at big-time NFL programs. We talked to them at tailgates multiple times. One of the dads said to us, they get the hell beat out of them. And this is a parent of a player in which all of you would die to have back. So I'm not going to say who. I'm not going to say who it was or what all said, but they get the hell beat out of them in practice. And he goes to the NFL, and he's like, our hardest days are like a walk. It's weird. He's like, we don't hit really. Now, you're playing with extremely talented players. Obviously, it's the league. But still, like, you're not – at some point, BV has to be like, dude, we aren't going to be able to travel and perform if we're playing with third-string tackles. Mm-hmm. Now, if you get rolled up, if you get hurt in a game, like –
that's
or you get – injuries happen. But the idea you're just coming off a Tuesday, and it's like, oh, it's not even that he got rolled up on. It's a concussion on a player that had concussions last year and then had one in fall camp coming into the year. And it's instead of saying, hey, let's take it easy on him, maybe put one of those helmets that make you look like you're having an overinflated head.
Yeah,
we're getting cracked. I don't know. I mean, maybe I don't know. Again, obviously these dudes are paid a lot more money than I'll ever hope. Well, I mean, unless I win the lottery, I'll ever have. And they know football, they know all that. But there's some things that I think you can get so caught up in your knowledge of a game and trying to be so smart and trying to be have an identity of physical toughness and all this, where you're starting to wear down players, and it's not wearing down because of a game. It's wearing you down because you're getting beat up in practice.
You're never getting healthy. You're never getting back to 100%. So you're going back into games playing probably at best 75%.
And this is where modern day caveman said, I think our defense came out a little too cocky in the first half. They possibly let all the hype from the media of being number one defense in the country go to their heads. Here's a couple things that's frustrating. I mentioned this on a show, and I don't know if it was a post game or one of our Monday shows, but I was like, look, the defensive stats are a little overinflated because we haven't played a great offense yet. And I was like, when we get to, and you said it, Josh, and I remember like week 2 when I saw Trinidad Chambliss come out and I saw him move, and I was like, that dude is going to be a problem. I was like, when we start playing Ole Miss, Tennessee, here's the problem: you're facing the offense next week that might be more explosive than this one. They're extremely good. They're extremely big and fast at every position.
At home.
And you're playing at home. And then the worst thing, you're coming off a bye week that week, which, I would love to say we'll heal a little bit, but knowing this team, we'll probably have 3 guys out for the Alabama game because we're going to be going full, probably trying to have a mini camp. Then you're going to Alabama, who might have the Heisman favorite at their quarterback position. And it has Ryan Williams. And so
to Jackson's point here, there's bright side of notice for Oklahoma, 26-26 red zone. They were 3 for 3 today, but the problem was that Ole Miss went 5 for 5 in the red zone. That was the problem today. The defense wasn't their same defense, and like you mentioned, I know we brought up the modern day caveman. They were very cocky, and then they only allowed 12 points in the second half. Humbled themselves, came back out and did what they needed to do, and ultimately that fourth quarter came down to offensive play calling. You have the run game just tearing them up in the third quarter. Xavier Robinson had the longest run. I posted this earlier. Xavier Robinson had the longest rushing touchdown for the Oklahoma Sooners since John Mateer had his, I believe, 48-yard touchdown against Illinois State in week 1. And before that, it was back to Michael Hawkins Jr. when he had that one. I think was the 48-yard touchdown.
He had a long, like the 50-yarder at Temple. John Mateer did.
Was it Temple?
I think it was Temple. It was an away game. Yeah, it was Temple. He went untouched.
Okay, because I don't think did he have a touchdown on it though? Rushing touchdown.
Yeah, he ran untouched the whole way.
I was at a bridal shower at that game. I didn't.
I didn't see that one whenever I was looking up stats earlier. But yeah, I mean it's just a stagnant. When's the last time we've had a running back do that though? I think you'd have to go back.
I literally tweeted. I said I forgot what a touchdown like that felt like.
Yeah, third quarter, 5:04. John Mateer 51-yard rush for touchdown. Yeah.
Okay.
Against Temple.
I think too. Like even though yes, we're 26 for 20.
Back to Temple. I mean, but
even though we're 26 for 26 in the red zone,
sorry,
we're at the 15-yard line. You need to get a touchdown. You're getting field goals. Like that's where I'm upset. Like that to me is like almost a deceptive stat in some ways because many of those we settled for field goals because we couldn't get it. We couldn't punch it in. So that's where to me it's like yes, but also
the stat you want to look at is touchdowns in red zone because remember when you get in the red zone, it's a win for the defense to hold you to a field goal. So like 26 for 26 is great, but also if like the exact point she made, if you're on the 15 with all the momentum in the world, dude, and then you run right up the ass of your center 3 straight plays, it's like what are we like? I don't know what we're doing. And then like like Kirby Smart said, he's like, look, if you think the guys you listen to our podcast are smart, you should see the guys who pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to coach, how smart they are, and that anyone can look like a genius or whatever in the game. And it's like, man, okay, but it's like I listened to Gabe talk about, hey, here's our strengths on offense. We do really well when we spread the ball out and we get them in space because our offensive line can't push people off the ball. And I'm like, oh, cool, let's do that.
But I also think a lot of times those people are too smart.
That's my thing.
You're trying to do too much. Like just keep it simple. The KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid.
Exactly. Like we don't have an offensive identity. We don't. So when we find something that works, that's our identity that day. It's like when people like golf, they pick up golf and it's like they don't know if they hook or slice the ball or whatever. And it's just one of those things where like, dude, we don't have a consistency. And here's also what I think hurt us at the end of the game. And I know I'm jumping around, but here's what really hurt us at the end of the game, right? And again, clock management expert, I'll tell you exactly what we should. Running back getting you 12.1 a carry apparently isn't good enough. So you don't give it to him. Not only do you run him, his helmet comes off. So now instead of being able to run a play and save a timeout because you run a play before the 2-minute warning, you don't get to run that play. You have Whip Newbauer comes out. And I thought, like, once you go to break or something, you can come back into the game once there's a stop and play. So they go to the TV timeout. Whip Newbauer comes back in. We hand the ball off. He still gets 3 or 4 yards that carry.
No, I think
back-to-back with John Mateer. And it's like, dude, what are we doing? And you get the 15-yard turnover earlier in the game, and you just run it up the middle again. And what I think they were doing at the end of the game, whenever we had, like, the 2 minutes left, is we had done so well offensively running the ball that I thought they were like, well, look, we'll get some runs here and we might score, but we don't need to leave Ole Miss enough time on the clock so that they can get down the field and maybe get a field goal to win. And I'm sitting here screaming, we're not good enough on offense to be dictating when we score. I don't care if there's a busted play and it's wide open and it leaves a minute and a half on the field.
Like you said, we also had to get the 2-point conversion. So
yeah.
If you don't get that, you want to leave enough time to maybe get a
onside and get the field goal.
Think of the word.
And I think what happened is they were being too conservative, saying, well, we can't, which it just astonishes me. So I hope I'm wrong. But they were like, well, we can't score too quick here because it'll leave too much time. It's like, dude, y'all
Also-
are barely scoring as it is. Just get in the end zone.
Strange complaint. What's up with Mateer's helmet? It's like the 4th time it's come off in 2 games.
I don't know.
Either he needs a smaller size, and put a strap on. Like
He doesn't ever strap
it's
it.
killing us with him having to go out
Just
because
lose.
you're just because they're not going to put in Hawkins. They want to save the red shirt. So I'm sorry. They know that the Neubauer is going to go in and just hand it off. Like why, dude? Keep your helmet. Like figure it out.
I disagree with the Ellis Family First says, and thank you for the chat though. We shouldn't have gone for 2. We shouldn't have gone for 2 early.
We
I
definitely should have.
disagree. You should have to go for 2 because you want to go up by 3. So that
You wanted to go up by 3 there.
Yeah.
That one kind of hurts you. The reason why you had to go for 2 though is because of the safety. I think the safety is ultimately what kind of kills Oklahoma because
well, for me, it's the
Ole
fumble on
Miss-
the punt.
but Ole Miss gets out ahead at halftime.
Yeah.
That large lead at halftime, that's what wins the game for Ole Miss. Because even whenever they went down, they were only down by 1 point. Later on in the game.
Right.
And I think with that, like everybody gets, I mean, you get the benefit of hindsight because I had people say to me in my comments, like, well, we shouldn't have gone for 2. In that situation, at that point in time in the game, 100% you go for 2 because you get it. Now, field goal is not going to make you lose. But now, yeah, in the 4th quarter, yeah, you think we shouldn't have gone for it because now we're down 7 instead of 8. But you get hindsight.
Well,
You didn't know that was going to happen in that situation.
Well, later
That's what you
on,
do.
when they went for it on 4th down there towards the end of the game, another play call that I just didn't, I don't agree with. I think you kick the field goal because then you end up kicking the ball off, putting them back further, and then the whole punt situation probably wouldn't have happened with the fumble. I think there's a lot, and now with hindsight even more so, I believe it. But I even think in the moment, you kick the field goal, you take your 3 points. Now you're down by 5. You have a chance to drive down and score and win the game now if you get the ball back and do something with it. And I know you don't have any timeouts left, but again, I think that was poor clock management by the reason why they ran out of timeouts there. I think there was so much there.
Well, yeah.
It just feels like it was a lot of coaching went into this big
And-
time.
and on-
Not running the ball early
Yeah.
and getting your running backs going early. That was a huge mistake. When they finally got going in the 3rd quarter, you didn't let them keep on rolling in the 4th quarter, and then a ton of other things we could probably point out too.
My issue with the end of that drive, right? So you have about 30 seconds left. You're on the 50. You have what you need to be thinking if you're Mateer is, look, they're going to give you 10, 12 yards all day on the sidelines because they just don't want to busted play deep. And I'm watching Kanik at the slot position on the trip side, and he's wide open. So he runs like a 12-yard just little hit, 12-yard dig or 12-yard hitch route, and Mateer just doesn't even look for him. And then he scrambles around and then tries to throw it late over the middle to Giovanni, and it wastes not only that, it wastes like 12 seconds, and he incompletes the pass. And it's like, if you just take that quick completion, it takes 6 seconds off the clock. Now you got 25 seconds, 24 seconds, and you're at the 35. And now those are two legit chances at the end zone instead of a Hail Mary that he ended up throwing short of the end zone
I think
anyways.
for me, especially today, was the game where he, like, the minute it was snapped, locked on exactly where he was going to go. And
there were several of those in the 4th quarter there on that last drive where they couldn't get anything going. That you just go with your simple dig route to get the 1st down. And there was one, I think it was Deion Burks down low, and he could have easily just taken that for a 1st down, get out of bounds, keep on moving. Yes. But instead he overthrows it, and you don't get it there. There was a lot like that. And I think Satania was open where he ended up trying to go deep instead later on. There was a ton where I felt like Jaron Kanik was open and just not used.
Now, this is like Mateer shapeshifter from a Heisman frontrunner to a below-average D3 QB. I know he's being a little hyperbolic, so I'm not going to freak out on the D3. But here's the deal. Oh, by the way, Vanderbilt or Missouri just gets a tip pass interception on Vanderbilt. Ball tipped in the air. Somehow their players can locate it and make a play. But on the Mateer stuff, man, his act, like that throw he missed to Jaron Kanik, like that is throws that you just can't. You can't miss that. And against Michigan and against Auburn, he didn't miss those, right? He had the deep throw in Michigan to Burks. He had the deep throw to Satania in Auburn. And you have him wide open on a corner route for about 20 yards and doesn't even come close to completing it. And the protection was good up front. There wasn't much that he should have been worried about. And he's rushed and he just misses it. And then even on the deep throws, like to Johnny Gibson, which, by the way, they finally did what I've been praying they would do, is just say, Johnny, 50-50, go make a play. Or you get a pass interference call. like that is exactly like what you. Sorry, that is exactly like what you can't have happen. And my thing, like on a lot of this stuff, is it looks just unprepared, like a lack of a plan. A lot for example, like before half, but instead of just running like three straight like we did, or doing the plays we did where we do two person route concepts into junk where they have five guys that can defend us. I'm doing whatever my formation is, where I've watched film and I know that he's going to get a one-on-one with Giovanni Gibson, or if you want to get Elijah Thomas out there, whoever it is. And I'm going to say, Giovanni, there's really no play here. It's just run straight, and we're going to throw it up to you. And if you feel like he's on you, try to force him into a pass interference. But we're going to give you a chance to maybe make a play, a one-on-one. And that gets the drive going at least. Instead, we're sitting there doing the stupid
How many
little
times
runs
does Auburn
we
do that with like Cam Coleman?
Yeah, and it's easy. And not only that, it gets what I hate that we don't run anymore. And this is weird, but it goes to the psychology of like getting your players' confidence. Remember the play Burke scored on against Michigan, the little pop pass where it's not really a throw, but it's a play where you toss in the air and he's like, it's a jet sweep and he's just coming and catching it and running to the outside. Players like that because the receivers get receiving yards and your quarterback gets a touchdown pass. And it's good for the psyche. It's like, oh, I've already thrown a touchdown here. I've got some easy yards. And it just helps you build confidence. Instead, everything we do seems so forced and so uneasy. And then you look at like all the open schemes that they run on for Ole Miss, and you've taxed that onto now we're playing like 90 snaps on defense again, going back to like the 2022 days, and you're done. And I just, Arbuckle's got that is true. Arbuckle is young. He does have some room to absolutely.
Well,
go ahead.
For some defense to John Mateer that I think a lot of people don't take into consideration is when you are in that position of quarterback, and the same thing went for Arnold. I think Arnold or even Arch Manning, they kind of both got broken by their offensive lines not performing well for them, because what happens is you're constantly blitzed, you're constantly put into pressure, you're constantly in this where your clock is ticking really fast and you have to make a really fast decision. Then you finally get the play where you have time, but your clock is still winding really fast. And that was really clear, very obvious in this game that's what happened to John Mateer. So he started off in the first half, went 11 for 14, had that touchdown to Isaiah Satania. The second half, he went 6 for 18 and nothing there.
Yeah,
nothing to show for it.
You're 100% correct. And it's what I worry about with Mateer, because as confident as he is and as competitive as he is, look, you also know that he was in practice all week going against our defense and seeing how much time he was having to throw passes. And he's not going to get hit, but he knows exactly how long he's had to get any sort of throw off, and he knows where they're coming from.
Was that the issue though? Is it Mateer's issue, or is it the issue of the offensive coordinator not recognizing that and saying we ran the ball really well in the third quarter?
Yeah.
Again, going back to, I feel like we kept on coming back to that. But why do you go away from your running game? You didn't get it going in the first half at all. You never tried to get it going in the first half. I didn't see any sort of attempt to get some sort of rhythm going in the first half. And then you get into the second half, you use the run game, and you get a huge touchdown, another huge touchdown, and you're out in the lead. And what do? You blow it by just completely abandoning it. Not even just like touching on it here and there and then trying to get your pass game going. You just completely abandoned the run game altogether, even when it was still just a one-score game. And that's ultimately what it came down to for this offense. I don't really put a whole lot of this on John Mateer, because what was done in this game was really more against John Mateer. It was Ben Arbuckle saying, John, go win us the game and go play hero ball, rather than, hey, we've got two running backs that we could use. And I know Torrey Blaylock didn't have a great game, but again, I say this every week. Where's the rhythm setting run that you're trying to give him? Where have you ever tried to get him into some sort of rhythm? And they didn't try that with Torrey Blaylock at all today. And then, of course, with Xavier Robinson, he forced himself to get into rhythm, and still you don't let him touch the ball for almost the entire fourth quarter.
This is where I talk about some things are just inexcusably stupid. And I don't know if it's where I just don't, because I'm trying to think, even going back to the only thing I can compare it to is calling plays on Madden or something, or NCAA, where it's if I see a play's working, you just run it over. And I'm in the same time, I'm Chad, there's no way it could be that simple. Then everyone would do it. But I do think there's a point where
It is that simple.
What you listen to you can watch Coaches Clinic film on YouTube, right? You just type in like Lincoln Riley Coaches Clinic, and they'll literally break down practices for OU. I watched one where they did a whole deal with Kyler and Baker with that practice, and he goes through every single drill they do. It's like 2.5 hours long, and he goes, "Hey, here's what we saw on film. We did this because this is their weakest player, so we want to attack him with our best players. How are we going to do that? Well, when we motion this guy, this is how they adjust." And he's like, "Here's us doing it in the game 42 times, and we had 687 passing or total yards of offense." And it's like, he goes, and people were like, we didn't look very diverse on offense. He's like, well, when I found something that I worked, I'm not going to go away from it. And it's like that kind of thinking is so simple, but it's what, like, the genius in like a Lincoln Riley or guys that are very good offensive callers is they know weaknesses and they just attack them. What does Lane Kiffin do? Attack it. What does he do? What is our strength? We're very good at recognizing tendencies on offense. We're very good at getting into a play call that exposes those. What is the one way you can get out of that? It's playing quick. Making sure you're late on your calls so that we can adjust to it. And he's like, well, I'm just going to do this. And if it's either going to work or it's not, but the only way we're going to have success on offense is by doing this. And it's like for us, like you're saying, we run X and we finally find a guy that can get it done. And it's not like you found him late in the game. You found him in the third quarter.
Yeah.
And he's gashing. And then you just don't run him. And it's really, I just don't get the excuse of it. And what's frustrating is like, and maybe this is why like, being a reporter is so tough if you're credentialed, because you want to go in there and be like, Arbuckle, why the hell would you stop running? Why are we not running Robinson and we're trying to run Mateer back to back on a QB draw when you've seen it hadn't worked twice or the entire fourth quarter,
Entire game.
And why are we running?
I think Mateer had one run, but it wasn't even a designed quarterback run. It was like a bus play.
And what was smart? What did you see early in the game from Ole Miss on their run game? They're running laterally, horizontally. They're making our defensive line move. We're having to make cuts. They're getting out in the open area where they can use their athleticism and speed. We're running right into the backs of our line again, getting nothing on first down. And like that kind of stuff is frustrating because it doesn't change. It's like we've seen the same thing over and over. We see a great play, we see a great move or a great change in what we're calling offensively for a series, and then we just stop without them actually showing they've stopped it. Mm-hmm. We just stop ourselves. It's inexcusable. I don't care. Like you could be a fifth grade offensive coordinator and you know not to do that. And for some reason, Oklahoma and it's been ubiquitous, no matter who's been our OC since Lincoln's been here. They can't get anything to work, and when they do, they just don't run it anymore. And the last point on the offensive line, I know I'm ranting. Sorry, guys, but you're so right, because what a lot of people hate, and I'm going to bring up Tony Romo, and I take away Dallas Cowboys stuff and all that. Tony Romo was a really damn good quarterback. He played behind one of the worst offensive lines ever for like the majority, 14 up, like for like 90% of his career. And you saw what it made him look like. Yeah. Everyone talked about how bad he was. He had all these. If he didn't have the playmaking ability he did, Dallas might have been the Browns of today. Like the fact he was so good is the reason they even won games or ever got to the playoff. And they finally, towards the back end of his career, for like the last 3 years, got him a good O-line, and you saw Dallas have success. And obviously the 2016 year. But it's until that gets worked out, and it's where, Josh, I'm interested what you think on it. It gets to the point where it seems to have passed the realm of coincidence, to where it's not coincidence anymore. You're hurt every game up front. It's not coincidence you're coming out of fall camp hurt every year.
There's something that they're doing wrong on the medical staff, the coaching staff, whatever it is. I mean, they tried to address it this offseason, we were told. You
got that guy in from New Orleans, whatever his name. I forget his name, but
it felt like they were addressing it because they did change a lot. They did change the timing of how they did practices and all that. They did some things differently to try to help with that, but there's obviously something being overworked in practice. Some things, not coaching your players to be less aggressive against your own team in practice, or there's another thing too, that when you get into higher levels of any sport, is that you start to learn things like how to be tackled, how to fall, how, when somebody is rolling up on your legs as an offensive lineman, how to make sure that you're not resisting that to force yourself to end up getting hurt. And I don't know if they're just not going through that or what the case is. But there's a lot of things like that. The injuries do start to bug me. But I think the main reason why Chad's so emphatic here on tonight, and why I think a lot of Sooner fans are really giving up hope now, is because
I'm not giving up hope. Don't put me in that corner.
You lose. Well, I think
No, I know.
you're emphatic, and then everyone else is losing hope. We'll say it that way.
Yeah.
But you look for Oklahoma. You travel to Knoxville next weekend, and it's a really tough environment to play in. Let
Probably gonna be
alone
a
as
blackout
good.
game too.
It's going to be their dark mode game because they don't have another. That's going to be their last opportunity to have a night game. The rest of theirs, I read an article randomly. The rest of their games are going to be like at 2:30.
Also, don't they
11
usually do it
a.m.
around Halloween anyway?
Yeah, it's around Halloween. So,
Yeah.
Josh, tell me if this won't be the most OU thing ever. OU was going to go and beat Tennessee. They're going to go beat Alabama and then like lose against Missouri and LSU at home to miss the playoff.
I don't think they'll do that.
I don't either. But would that not be like the most Oklahoma thing of all time?
It would
Like,
be.
it'd be like, of course that would happen.
I don't think a 9-3 team, unless like how Clemson did last year, where you kind of get into your conference championship on a weird fluke because you lost a non-conference game at the end of the season, all that. I don't think a 9-3 gets into the playoffs this year.
Man, I just with if you beat Tennessee, so that means that you go if you would have to go to 2 Tennessee or 2 Alabama and win.
You would have to beat Alabama in order for a 9-3 Oklahoma team to win. To make it to the playoffs. So I think if Oklahoma were to, let's say, man, I say if you lose to Tennessee and you win the last 3, that would be how a 9-3 team gets in because its most recent, the most recent wins are at Alabama, who's going to be ranked really high at that point, and then you've got Missouri and LSU. I don't think you can win. I don't think you can lose another one at home. But I really don't think you. I mean, I feel like the only way to secure, and this was the kind of the point that everyone was making leading up into this game, is that for Ole Miss, they lose this game and they're probably winning out. Regardless, they're still winning out, so they're probably going to end the season 11-1 now that they won today. And so they don't have another ranked opponent on the schedule.
And they've already said conference championship games aren't going to be held against teams now because like that was a big thing last year or with Georgia that year they missed it.
Yeah,
wait, I need to complain one time for a second.
He's in the middle of
okay, sorry.
No, I was just bringing up the schedule real quick. So you've got at Tennessee, at Alabama. So you've got at Tennessee bye week, then at Alabama, Ole Miss Missouri at home and LSU at home. I think Oklahoma now has, their backs against the wall where to control your own destiny, you have to win out. One loss, you're still sitting there with a question mark because we talked about this at preseason. But I think the way that it has all fallen out with a neutral site loss and now a home loss, you really need to win these to just control your own destiny and make your case to make it to the college football playoff.
I know my complaint was, and this is a small complaint, at the end of the game, you have no timeouts, you're needing to rush, and I'm seeing players out there like barely jogging into position.
Yeah, Javonte Gibson, that better never happen again.
That wasn't just him, but I mean that was one. There were several, but I'm like, move! Was like you don't have. Like, what are you doing? And, like, to me, that is one thing that, like, really made me angry. Do you have a low shot of winning? Of course, but that's still a shot. And, like, the fact that your hair wasn't on fire for one more minute, like, I don't know. That really irked me. I need to get that out there because, good gosh.
I had wondered why Jay Knott couldn't pick up the offense and, like, get on the field and just took, $900,000 million and just hadn't seen it at all. And then I watched a video somehow. It just came up on my algorithm of him and Taylor Tatum talking about their Mount Rushmore of running backs. Jay Knott's first comment was, how many people on Mount Rushmore? Take his jersey. Take everything. If you're a person living in America and you don't know the number of faces on Mount Rushmore, that's a 5th grade question. Why do we not know that? Why does that matter? Because it shows the lack of ability to remember anything.
We're in college.
We have driver's licenses, people. Does he know to stop on red? I don't know. It's just that kind of stuff. It really doesn't matter in the long run, but it's also like, dude, it sucks too because you pay all that money to get him, and he's not on the field anymore, and he's burned his red shirt. Like that's what also was shocking is like he just played 5 games, so it's like he's done for his college career because he didn't have a medical red shirt. He got denied it last year.
So what? I want to bounce back to the remaining, because I'm kind of reading chats as they're popping up and stuff.
State's up on Texas, by the way. Wow.
With the remaining schedule, so with the last 4 games at Tennessee, at Alabama, Missouri, and LSU at home, what do you guys think your prediction for Oklahoma? I know this is kind of right now you're feeling down and in the dumps about your team. The confidence is low again. But how do you feel with the last 4 games?
Well, do we get any O linemen back?
Well, you assume that you're going to have what you have today, I guess. The problem is I assumed we were going to win these 2 games. I thought we beat Texas. I think we're a better team than Texas. I think we're a better team than Ole Miss. We just beat ourselves every game, which, by the way, maybe we're not because good teams don't do that. But for me going forward, I thought we'd lose to Tennessee at Tennessee. I think we're going to lose to Alabama. And I think we'll win the last 2. So 8-4 would be what I'd assume we go now, and you get in a okay bowl game in which 40 players will sit out and we'll lose that because we're playing with true freshmen everywhere again. I mean, it's just going to be 8-5 season at the end of the year, probably.
Yeah,
And that's an optimist saying that. Someone who's
I'm there with you. I mean, I predicted 8-4 at the beginning of the season. It's just that certain teams are better now than I anticipated. So if I would have given you my predictions and now and kind of mixing some of those teams up, I would have just said, I think the Ole Miss was better than what they showed out to be. I wouldn't have picked Texas as being one of the losses, but Oklahoma lost to them. So I'm not really mad about Oklahoma losing to Ole Miss. Ole Miss is a really good team this year. And, it was how they lost to Ole Miss. It should have been a win. It was all because of, play calling and your own mistakes that are holding you out of that game. But now, you look down. I think Oklahoma has a shot and a good chance to beat Tennessee on the road.
Yeah.
But I'm not really confident about it. And we'll shake this one off and move closer to it. Maybe we'll start to feel a little bit more confident.
Listen, I'll convince myself they'll go undefeated by Tuesday. But I mean, right now it's like, dude, the problem is like run game travels, right? Defense travels. I have no doubt that our defense will play well. They played well today. They got gassed because your offense can't give you anything besides giving them 2 back-to-back 50-yard fields. But the issue is like, I thought once we found a run game, we would, a crazy idea, we would use it. And we found a guy that was sitting there looking like prime Adrian Peterson. And we just were like, by the way, thank goodness we don't have a running back that good this year. He would look great on the sidelines half the game. Because we wouldn't run him every time. Apparently, we'd run Troy Blaylock with a hurt shoulder now. I don't know if it's supposed to. Anyways, there's like, so I don't know. I mean, if we had a run game that we would go to consistently with X-Rob, and you get Simmons back hopefully next week, Brad, concussions. What are they? Why are we getting them? I have a doctor across the table from me, so I'm asking him all the medical questions. This is, by the way, if he says something, it is medical advice, so you can hold him.
Well, and what usually happens is, whenever players get hit, the brain actually sloshes around in the brain. No.
Scientifically speaking, here's what happens: you get whacked.
Yeah. So you hit your head, and then you get dizzy. I had plenty of them in sports.
What do you think? What do you? I mean, let me ask the table.
I think for me,
people that know,
and I feel like we've said this for several games now. I can tell you why OU wins every game. I can also tell you why OU loses every game.
Man,
if you play like you did today, like you're not winning. Sorry, but
I think if you play like you did in the third quarter, you win out.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I can tell you why we would win. We could win every game. It's not going to be easy. I'm not saying that by any means, but I could very easily tell you why we don't win a single game. And for me, it's just like my biggest fear is just more the offensive linemen. Like that's my biggest worry.
Well,
sorry, just with Simmons, he has a few. I'm asking a question to the.
Yeah, go ahead.
They become more prevalent, or does your brain like get them easy? This is a terrible way to phrase the question. I just don't know. More prone to them, yes. Why is just because is it actual?
I think it's with anything. You're just weaker at that point.
You said yes. There's nerve. You said neural damage. Just damage there, breaking down. God, it's just frustrating. It's kind of like, I guess once you get a knee injury, they kind of can.
I mean, it's like when your body's just broken down. One little tweak is just going to knock you out.
I woke up today and had to loosen up my ankle. What did I do? I slept. Unbelievable. Matthew Stafford's out there getting hit by a blitzing Aiden Hutchinson, and I'm sitting here like, man, my ankle's a little sore.
Well, so when we were talking about this South Carolina game and moving into that South Carolina game, really even moving into the Texas game, what was the main thing that we felt like for Oklahoma, if they were going to win a majority of these games, even from Texas all the way down through LSU? The one thing that I think all three of us were even talking about this as well, was that Oklahoma has to be able to find a run game. They have to be able to find some sort of balance. If they aren't going to find that balance, they need to lean on what's working, and they're obviously not going to do that. That was more or less just me kind of being crazy and just saying, why not just switch it up and go full air raid if you're not going to run the ball anyways? If you're not even going to really give it a chance to find some sort of rhythm, then why not just do away with it and go to full air raid. But at this point, you find the run game. I know it was too late. It felt too late, but you ended up coming back, taking the lead, and then you go away from it. I think if Oklahoma can just somehow find a way to listen to what we have to say, or whatever they have to do to find a way to recognize that the run game has to get going and the run game has to be consistent, then I think they can win 3 of the last 4. But if they don't do that, I'm hopeful that they win the 2 at home.
Here's the thing: is your defense is good enough to win every single one of them, and they have the depth to win every single one of them. Like you're saying, you find a run game, and then Arbuckle turns to Houdini and hides it from everybody. I just don't. That is what worries me. Is like,
keep it simple.
Yeah, that's what worries me. Is like, dude, the whole point of finding the game is to finding a run game is just to actually use it, and we do the exact opposite. Where it's like, and I will say this too. And I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy on the defensive side of the ball. Again, the only reason we even had a chance with all the stupid things we did on offense, the fumble, all that, the safety, all that crap, is because our defense played well enough to force field goals whenever they had short fields and all that stuff, right? Also what is frustrating is there are times in our games where, like, dude, Heineke's a great player, but there's a reason he's the second string and not Kip Lewis and not Kobe and those guys. Like, when you're having to spy Trinidad Chambliss on like a 3rd and 10, I don't want Heineke, who doesn't have great lateral quickness, out there doing it. There are times when, like, we need our starting safeties in and not Hardy. And not, well, I guess Gentry Williams is hurt today. So, by the way, I don't think Dolby's playing anymore. He wasn't even on the list all week, and he's out today. He's going to redshirt, probably, maybe transfer out. Maybe he'll play more next year, and whatever. But there's just times where it's like, dude, I know BV likes the 22 starters thing, and he wants to do series and series and series where, like, this series is Omosigo and Heineke. This series is Kip Lewis and McKenzie. But it's like sometimes, man, like, you just need your best players on the field to make plays.
I think that happened in the 3rd.
It's so frustrating.
I think I was texting our group, and I said, like, this group out there was killing it.
Yeah.
And we made a sub and got, like, a late sub. I don't know what happened, but we got a penalty before it. And I'm like, why? Like, you needed one more play, and let them finish it. Like, they were hyped up. Let them finish it. Like, it just.
Bo Perbula just got carted off the field. I hope this isn't fake news. Caden Idleman. That's Missouri starting quarterback. He's good. Bo Perbula just got carted off the field.
Just remember that they were in a quarterback battle in the spring and into the fall even. I mean, up until, like, right before. So backup might not be too bad if that was the case, or they were just keeping everybody kind of hidden.
Oh, apparently Pubula was Perbula.
The starter.
What is his last
right?
name? That's a terrible name.
The starter is out for the year. He got hurt game 1. Perbula was their backup.
His last name sounds like.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that he did get hurt.
Derek, I'm telling you, we have a literally walking encyclopedia. Derek, mascot, South Dakota State.
Don't even play,
I mean,
Jackrabbit.
I can tell you that. I mean, I'm close enough.
Okay, well, I'm stupid then. Never mind. Josh goes, I could have told you that one. All right, what's the hard one? I don't know. We used to do this one. He's like one of the.
Harding University D2.
Who?
Harding D2.
Bison.
Yeah, that's correct.
The guy's a savant, dude. It's awesome.
He's a mascot savant. Anyways.
All right, we've got over 850 people watching. If you're not watching on YouTube, jump over to YouTube and hit that like button and hit subscribe as well. It helps us a lot here on the channel. Become a member today. That's another great way for us to be able to highlight your chats, be able to grow a community here, and then it helps support the channel here. We're giving you guys live shows on Sundays, Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays post game. So just hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Memberships for as low as $2.99 a month. That's $2.99 a month. You can't go to a coffee shop anymore and just get a plain black coffee. That's how I drink my coffee, just plain. And I can't even get that for $2.99.
A true electrician.
Exactly.
Josh, do you love yourself?
I do.
Anyone who drinks black coffee does not truly love themselves.
I love black coffee. It tastes amazing. Mm-hmm. But you can't even just get that at a coffee shop for $2.99. So go ahead and support the channel today. You can click the link down in the description below, or just click join. And then, of course, talking about memberships, and our member, Shanae, she thinks I'm a psycho as well. But I was even told that it was going to stunt my growth. And I think I've drank coffee just straight since I've been like 9 years old.
Yeah, it's funny enough. We met Josh in person during the Michigan game,
Mississippi State up 24-14. Sorry.
And I'm not very tall, but I guess I don't know, but like when I met him, I was like, holy cow, I was not expecting you to be this tall. And he goes, I wasn't expecting you to be this short. I'm like, well,
Well, I wasn't
Yeah.
expecting Chad to be as tall as he is either. He's
that
taller
too.
than
Yeah,
I
you
am.
said when he walked in, you're like, oh man, like he is tall. He's like, I
Yeah.
know y'all talk
You're
about
tall,
being tall
Josh.
and short, but that's what I was
What's that?
talking about when
Oh,
we met him. I
sorry.
wasn't expecting him to be as tall as he was.
Yeah.
And he said, I wasn't expecting you to be so short. And then about that time you walked in, he goes, I was not expecting him to be that tall.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I mean, I know we talk about it a lot, Chad being tall, me being short, but
I
you
will-
can't tell on the screen.
I just wanna-
I usually hike my chair up really, really high and try to get in the same frame.
I will say, just for, the defense had, again, 14 tackles for loss, only 1 sack, but they were there on a few of them. Chambliss just got was able to scramble.
I'll say this, okay? I'll be that whiny baby fan at this point because I am sick and tired of the SEC officiating, and I know the rest of the SEC is too. So the rest of the SEC can't even complain about us just sitting here and making excuses. I'm just simply saying the SEC officiating was horrible, and it's more prevalent for Oklahoma fans because our defensive line is the greatest in the nation, and they are held on every single play.
Yes.
And it's blatant, like extremely blatant on big plays, on big breakout plays where they end up getting away with it, and then they go out and they get one. So I mean, there was tons of bad calls, and to Freddie's point there, there was tons of bad calls all game, and then on top of that, there was tons of missed calls. I don't think there was tons of bad calls. There was at least 2 or 3 bad calls. But yeah, I mean, I'm just completely tired of the SEC officiating.
It's those things where, like, when you have it's weird. It's like whenever you have a idea of how you are going into a game or something, you don't get a call. It's like you see a lot of people like LeBron would struggle with like when he drives a lot, he gets hit a lot, but sometimes it's not called every time. And it's like he complains about it, and then you look at replays and he is hit a lot, but he also gets a call. And it's like our offense is, and I'm talking about like back in his prime. Obviously now he's old, but our defensive line is the exact same. It's like they're so good. It's like the refs just don't look to get any sort of help to them or something. It's just odd how it's always missed.
And like I said earlier, I'm not blaming the refs for the loss at all. It was Oklahoma's fault for losing the game because you still had the opportunities there. There was plenty of opportunities on the table, and you missed them. You got down. You were given the ball down on what yard line there whenever they
15,
for some
14,
stupid
like
reason went for it and fumbled it backwards. Lane Kiffin was an idiot for that, but
How
hey,
arrogant
it
was
worked
that
out.
play? Like, what are you doing, dude?
Yeah, so I'm not using that as an excuse as if Oklahoma would have won the game if it wasn't for the refs. I'm just saying that it needs to be corrected. And I think that every SEC team needs to be petty and sending in every little call that was missed or wrong needs to send that into the officials every week, which they already do some. But they have to go through and say, hey, we feel like this was wrong. It's just it only gets reported on every once in a while. But it needs to be petty. I mean, down to the T. How come you're not missing? How come you're not calling this? How come you're calling roughing the passer here? How come you're calling us for illegal substitution when you didn't allow us to get our guy completely off the field? Every little thing needs to be sent into the office because
why is this not a blocking back on a crucial 4th down? Why is this not a holding in the same call? How come Lane Kiffin wasn't even calling a timeout? It's a delay of game, and you somehow just say, never mind, we're going to give him a timeout even though he wasn't calling for it. That was all in one drive that ended up in points for them. Like, again, you should get the stop, yes, but it's insane. And again, it's like I feel like I watched so many games. I'm like, well, how are they missing all this? It's just wild.
Here's also what makes it tough is it's weird how the stats can be so similar for teams. So both teams had 13 drives. The average start for both teams was on their own 29-yard line. And then also they had Ole Miss has 3 10-plus play drives, and then OU has 0. Both had 3 and outs. And both had a 23% touchdown rate on the game. That's crazy how similar that is. And again, the fumble, if you don't have the fumble punt, you don't have the safety, how different's the game? You probably win. Playing as bad as they played for most of the majority of it. That's what's so frustrating is like, man,
if you ran the ball more than –
it's like, how good are you if you just do what works and then not beat yourself? Which I know is like more teams lose games than win them. But it's like you end up losing more games than you win. But like, I'm just saying.
If you ran the ball for more than just – what, 9 times in the first half? 9 times in the first half?
Mm-hmm.
Let me say that again. 9 times the entire first half you ran the ball?
Yeah.
It's stupid. And it's against the 98th ranked rushing defense.
That's what's frustrating. Yes. They're not a good rushing defense.
Lit up the 75th ranked rushing defense. huge shout out to Brandon. Thanks so much for becoming a member,
He's one.
joining the community here.
I mean,
Hope
a lot of
you guys-
that first
yeah,
year.
I'm glad that us complaining about a loss is able to pull in a member here and there. But
Yeah.
God,
BB 1 in
Thank
10. BB 1 in 10 now when trailing at half. Apparently.
yeah, that's terrible.
Again, it's like again the seasons I actually like are critical of them are 2023 and then this year, because again, like the first year, like I always say, it's like they're trying to figure out how to fly a plane while it's taking off, because you just are getting people out of the portal, you're getting the staff put together, and you're getting that in the December portal window. And then that last year, you can't. We had Pro Football Focus. I'll never forget. Whenever we were going into last year, we had I think 7th best receiving core in the country, and literally none of them played.
That's a really good comment. At some point, beating yourself needs to be exposed for it's a bad team in disguise.
Yeah, that's what bad teams beat themselves. 100%.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
I mean,
Well,
you can talk about how good your team is on X, Y, and Z. It's just when you can't piece together the most crucial moments in the game are what makes a good team great, and they weren't great.
Here's what I'll be frustrated with is if we go to Tennessee and we're gashing them up the middle with runs again, and then we just stop doing it. And at that point, it does come to a deal where, like, if you're BV,
I don't care if you've stepped out of the offense. You got to be like, no.
When I see a guy gashing someone and we just don't do it anymore, I need explanations why. Yeah, I need to know why. Because there's no reason. We're almost at 1,000 viewers, so yeah, like you said earlier, just throw a like and then subscribe if you can.
Yeah, jump over to YouTube if you're not watching on YouTube. I know we have a bunch watching on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. So jump over to YouTube real quick and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and Brandon, you're welcome. I was sitting there too, like right when the game was over, and then watching Lane Kiffin sit there and. First, to David Stone, don't be going over there and talking smack anyways to the head coach. But then the interaction there annoyed me, and I was just fuming. I was like, man, I don't even want to do this post game stuff after a game like that. But it really was.
Is so annoying, man. Well, BB sure doesn't know how to. Jimmy Satterfield, BB sure doesn't know how to hire offensive coordinators. Look, man,
Every single person was ecstatic about Ben Arbuckle hire.
That's the thing is like. You can be critical of how we played on offense so far, and there's like we've talked about this almost this whole show. There's legit reasons to. Also, you're not going to judge a guy by literally the first year they're here. Like you have to recruit to the scheme. You recruit players that fit.
And who did you want him to hire?
He was literally the most sought after coordinator in the country.
Yes.
Like I mean, there's a reason why we had to pay him what he was.
He was, and he still is a good coordinator. Good coordinators make bad decisions sometimes, and sometimes too. I think. The learning point for Ben Arbuckle in games like this is understanding. I felt like it was his script. Maybe he tried to stick to script too much rather than changing or adjusting, making adjustments to that script as the game went on. That's really where it comes down to, and that's stuff that he'll learn as he goes on. I don't have any doubts in Ben Arbuckle. He just had a bad game. He had one really bad game here, and a lot of that too comes into pregame prep. Where it's not just Ben Arbuckle, it is DeMarco Murray, it is Joe John Finley, it is whoever the other analysts are. It's all your position coaches and all your analysts putting this game plan together. They have a meeting and they sit down in those meetings and say, all right, who's the wide receivers that we think are going to be going out on this play? Okay, what about this play? Who do we want here? Okay, let's draw these plays up and then let's go practice them. And you've got to have that better game plan from the rest of your crew. So honestly, if it's me, I'm not saying so much for Ben Arbuckle. I'm saying Ben Arbuckle needs the freedom to be able to get his own staff in there. I don't understand how Oklahoma seems to be the only team that when you get a new coach, that coach doesn't bring his own staff over.
Yeah,
And again, maybe he was content with the staff we had. I don't know.
Here's what
happened. I get what you're saying. I just
here's
devil's
the thing
advocate.
is like here's what's confusing, right? He said he would have let him bring in whoever he wanted. He wanted to keep the coaches we had here. I mean, they can believe me or not on that. I really couldn't care less. But he wanted the coaches that were here. And then you listen to everybody that's coached for Joe John Finley, Austin Stogner, who's been – those who pick himself aside. Again, I get it, Jules. I get it. But like what everyone's like ignoring when they say that is the fact that he was able to pick his own staff and he decided to keep everybody.
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
Exactly. But I mean, it's like – and so you look at Stogner, who has an interview that I was watching on OU Insiders, and he said Joe John Finley is without a doubt the smartest and best coach he's ever had. and he's played at Division I. He played at South Carolina. He knows he's played the tight end position forever. So it's like I don't know if we just are that bad in terms of we just got that bad of luck in who we have in the tight end room. You have Caden Helms coming off an injury. He's shown something a little bit. We don't have a guy that's really a tight end who can block and go run out and catch passes that has the size to do it. So you're probably going to look there. But
and I think what my point is that Brent Venables knows who these guys are. And I am getting to the point where I'm really starting to question Bill Bedenbaugh. I know he brings in a lot of talent. I know he's got a lot of guys lined up. But with guys like Joe John Finley, with guys like even Bill Bedenbaugh or DeMarco Murray, I think that Brent Venables had to have known that we need to find someone else here as well. I feel like DeMarco Murray was the most obvious one for a while now. Why are we not getting Xavier Robinson in until Alabama last year? And then when that happens, how we don't see him after that. And then into this season, how Jade Knott was completely silent and you never really saw him on the field. And then now, you have to turn to a true freshman and put that much pressure on a true freshman, which I'm extremely happy that Tory Blaylock is in the position he is because he's become a fan favorite. But there's just so much into it where I think Brent Venables had to be the one to step in and mediate and say, hey, I think it's probably time for us, as much as I hate to do this, to move on from these guys. I know they're legends, and I know that they've done a lot of great things, but I think it's time to move on. And maybe it's not. Maybe I'm in the wrong by saying that. I think that it's just starting to finally kind of show its true face there.
Right. I think mainly for me, and this is our last point. We got to go get some food. We're all starving over here, and T has we have two pregnant people in this room. Me and Bradley and Bradley. My final point on it is just going to be like to your point on the coaching and all that. It gets to the point where, listen, I can hear every NFL coach talk about how they always look to draft Oklahoma linemen because they're so well taught and their technique's perfect. Again, Tyler Guyton, perfect example, goes to start as a rookie and one of the highest rated rookies for Dallas last year. Got his job taken when he got taken out early, and Jacob Sexton came in and started at left tackle. And then it's like, and he goes to the league and they talk about, like, I don't see the level of production they have in the NFL at college, which is insane to say. Anton Harrison, again, a guy that like no one was over the moon about, is starting at every NFL team he's on. And for me, for Bedenbaugh, like the first coach, if I'm firing anybody, and I know the tight ends are bad, you got to get a consistent running backs coach. I guarantee you, I know Jay Knott hadn't performed. I don't love what I heard about how DeMarco coached him. There are good coaches know how to coach certain players. And when you have a guy, my dad says this all the time. Back when Jermaine was at Ardmore High School, the second best player we had on the team was a guy named DeJuan Miles. He was an NFL talent, was probably as talented as Jermaine was, Jermaine Gresham for the OU fans. There was a linebacker that was 6'2", 230, could run, could jump, but he couldn't take tough coaching very well. And my dad couldn't scream and yell at him, but he could talk to him calmly and DeJuan was an awesome guy, but like he just didn't do it, right? And you have to adjust coaching. You can have a standard, a mindset, but you have to be able to adjust as a coach. And from everything I've heard on DeMarco, he's a hard ass. Like he doesn't believe in that. If you aren't doing your job, he's going to yell, he's going to cuss, he's going to do that and rip into you. And I'm sorry, like if you have a Jay Knott and he struggles with that kind of coaching, were you ripping into him and taking away all his confidence is not good. That is not a good job. I guarantee you, if Jay Knott was somewhere else right now, he's probably setting records or playing very well, playing in the open field. If Jay Knott was at Ole Miss or wherever he would need to go, they would figure out a way to coach him up. And for some reason, and I only say that because even on our running backs that are good, we don't consistently put them out there to succeed. We're in positions to succeed.
Like you mentioned, it's all of our young.
It's all of our young guys
that are having.
It's all the guys you've spent the least amount of time with that are our best running backs. That's not a good sign or a good trajectory or
It's a good sign for the future.
But we say that, but what happens when you play young guys? Their bodies aren't ready for that punishment. They get injured. Tory Blaylock, first year, already has a shoulder harness. What did you hear about X early in the year? Hammy issues, leg issues. Like they're not like that. So next year, it's like you hope you have another good true freshman in because you don't know how beat up these guys are going to get by the end of the season. But anyway, I just my bad. To the last point you want to make, and then
points. I'm
we got to
so
get something to
hungry.
eat. But
You're
still wanting to go. You still want to go. We don't have. You don't have to end it. We can just go off it.
No. We're good. We've already gone for an hour and 15 minutes, way longer than I anticipated. I was thinking like a 30-minute quick and easy throw it off here, but we needed the therapy, right? End of the story is like truly Oklahoma could win out and have a good season. We could all be happy. I think it's obvious at this point that you can't really have too much confidence in that. So it's going to come down to the last 4 games. How Oklahoma performs in those last 4 games is going to tell a lot about this team this year and then moving forward. But if you're watching anywhere other than YouTube, jump over to the YouTube channel real quick. Just type in Oklahoma VOCFB, and you'll find us on YouTube. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and if you want to support the channel a little further, become a member today for as low as $2.99 a month, just by clicking the link down in the description below, or just join. Scan that QR code over on the bottom right-hand side of the screen. We appreciate everybody so much for tuning in. We'll be live tomorrow at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time to give a little bit more of a true breakdown, and then kind of moving forward into the next week. But appreciate everybody so much. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We'll catch you on the next one. Boomer.
You guys rock. Sooner.